Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books,
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today we're doing the hipsteriest hipster comic ever, Scott Pilgrim, Volume 1, which is called Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life. And yeah, so you might know this book from the movie that came out in 2011?
2010, like 11.
Around there? I don't know. Around the end of, yeah, with Michael Cera, who he died or something, right? I haven't seen him in a movie for a while. And then
he did die in the movie they made with all the comedians.
Yes, This Is the End or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny, they made him like such a jackass.
Yes. So I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But yeah, anyway, they made a movie about it. It was an Edgar Wright movie, which is mainly the reason why I saw it. Because I remember, what is your exposure to this book?
The movie.
That's it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I remember when this came out, and I was working at the comic book store, and everybody's like, "Have you read Scott Pilgrim? It's so good. It's the best book I've ever read. It's amazing." And for all those of you who don't know what Scott Pilgrim is, it is a manga style book that's an indie comic. So manga being the Japanese art form of comics, it doesn't come out in issue forms. It comes out in book forms that are about 160 pages each, and they're a little bit smaller than comics form, and they're about $6.99 each, which means you're getting way more pages for way less money compared to American comics, which are like $3.99 for 20 pages or whatever. So, but they are usually black and white. They're usually cheaper paper. It's just all about story and character. You're not getting any frills or anything. So if you want that fancy stuff, you're going to have to wait till they get big or really popular. And then like this came out in hardcover, got colored eventually, all that kind of stuff. So when I saw it, the first volume had just hit our store, Austin Books and Comics, and I was like, what is this nonsense that everybody keeps talking about? I never read manga or anything other than I read Dragon Ball a little bit, but it was like the Japanese versions that my friends gave me when I was growing up. So I was like, oh, like I can't read it, but I can look through all the pictures. Cool. I guess that's what manga is. And so, but I never went any further than that. And so,
true understanding of it.
Yes, exactly. And so, this was like the first little manga-ish thing I read that, of that style at least, but it's the American style of manga, I guess. And so this is by Brian Lee O'Malley, who is an Asian man with an Irish last name. And so like, I don't know if that's why he did a manga style, if that has any influence at all, his Asian heritage or whatnot. But just in general, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's a manga thing. I read it. I was very much like, okay, cool. That's the thing that, there's some clever stuff. It wasn't like my favorite book ever. Like the way people were talking about it, I specifically remember my manager being like, this is the best book ever to every customer that came in and was like selling it like every day as it's the best book of all time. And I did not agree with that, but I also then had to sell that book like it was the best book of all time. So I have a familiar thing with this. I had to read all the volumes so I could sell it, and know what the story was and everything. So I know most of this story. The one we read was not black and white though. And I was kind of shocked by that. I was telling John earlier. So I thought maybe like I remembered it wrong, like with no color.
You remembered it in black and white, even though it was a color.
No color. I was like, that's a weird thing for your mind to replace the color. But yeah, so originally it was black and white, and they just recolored them when they re-released them later on after it got so much fame and everything that everybody loved it. So yeah, we accidentally read the color one for this one, but either way, it's the same book as far as I know, just colored. So.
They may have fixed some flaws.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Or change things. They didn't change anything. They didn't change the other stuff that
no, they didn't change. We're just going to throw it all out.
There's a couple elephants in this book.
Yeah, there's no because like we could go through the whole book and like say every time it's like, wow, they did this. Wow, they did that. But there's definitely
some problematic
There's some problematic language. There's some problematic character elements that definitely would not fly
in 2021.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just say Scott Pilgrim is canceled. All right.
Yeah.
We'll say that, and then we'll not cancel, and we'll talk about it, and we'll just leave it at that. If you are okay with reading things in the context of this is 15 years old,
yeah,
and then go for it, have fun with it. But yeah, there's definitely some triggering things if you are.
I mean, like even thinking back on the movie, like the movie, like reading this, I was like, oh wow, like this is a really close to like exact interpretation, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
There are probably some differences that I don't quite remember, but in general, like I was like, oh wow, like I remember like these scenes for scene from like page to the screen.
Yeah.
And in particular, there's one scene where Scott is stalking somebody, and I remember just specifically it's even like in the screen, it's like, and he stalked her, and like even like watching that in 2010 or 2011 when it came out, I was like, okay, why is he
why is he creeping?
Why is he being so creepy? And then like reading it now in 2020, reading that was like, whoa,
yes,
maybe let's don't stalk people.
Yeah, or like if you like a girl, like don't become obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Like you didn't even know her. You're just like, wow, she's hot. I must follow her around.
Gotta figure out ways,
which is odd, and find out where she lives and what she works for and how to get her over to my house without her knowing how that I got her over to my house. Just weird things like that would not fly nowadays, I don't think, in a comic. And if you did make a comic like that, you'd have to come up with a reason, a better reason why he would do those things or something. So, I mean, there was just stuff that seemed out of place. You just notice it now. They say the R word a couple times in this, I think. They make a big deal about his roommate being gay.
Yeah, they kind of.
And I was like, that was what I noticed. I'm just like, they just make a big deal about it. Like, if they just had his character be gay, but he's like, here's my gay roommate. He's gay. Did you know he's gay?
Yeah,
he's gay.
He's gay. Yeah, like every time he's introduced as gay, his sister has a boyfriend, and he's like, oh, he's gonna try to make him gay. It's just like, stop, like,
right? If he's not gay, then
he's not gay. But they definitely pushed that. So again, things that were acceptable. It's just like trying to rewatch Friends or trying to rewatch like pretty much anything that is older than like 5 years.
If you're in 2021, you will get triggered by anything more than 5 years old. All right.
Yes.
So be aware. We didn't. I mean, I don't personally care. I can read this and be like, it was.
Exactly. You can put it.
I mean, we've read much more triggering things than this before. So, I mean, Days of Future Past was fairly. No, not Days of Future. Which one is it? Is it Days of Future Past?
No. The God is.
God Loves Man Kills.
God Loves Man Kills.
Yeah, God Loves Man Kills had some problematic.
Yeah, that had some problematic.
You know, but that's 40 years old now, so you know, you're expecting it or whatever. So
society gonna change.
Yeah, so
it's definitely changed a lot quicker.
This changed fast. Yeah, this changed fast right now. Weird. I felt old. I was like, oh my god, I read this. I remember picking it up and reading it and being like, oh yeah, and now it's totally never would be on a comic
You have that in your
shelf.
collection? Canceled.
Yeah, you're canceled. But anyway. I'm admitting to reading it, so I'm canceling myself right now. But I didn't enjoy it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're pre-canceling, but it's okay because we didn't. Well,
no. I mean, I didn't enjoy it back then. Like, it wasn't my favorite comic back then. I'm not talking about today. So yeah, I read this with that knowledge, like, you know, coming into it with it wasn't my favorite comic before. Maybe it's changed, but this is the reason why I'm bringing this up is because why we did this one. You might think we're just picking a random comic. Me and John have been trying to figure out how to get manga into this comic book show. It's a big thing. I want to get into more manga, but the problem with manga is one book is like one issue of a comic. So you can't just read one book. You got to read at least like 4 volumes to get like the full arc of the first beginning of it. And that's a lot of pages. So we've had a little trouble trying to figure out how to get a manga on the show. So this is like our tippy toe first one, and then we're like looking to get some other ones in the next couple weeks.
It's still not a complete story, but you get enough of the
that we can talk about it. Exactly. So I've read some manga recently where I'm like, the first volume is literally just like,
how's it going?
Yeah, and then like you just get like little tiny it's like, oh, I do this, and that's like the only information you get on that person, so you can't really talk about them. You don't know exactly where the story's going. You can just talk. It'd be like a 15-minute conversation, and then we're done or whatever. So yeah, we need to we got to find the ones that are a little bit have a better or that are easier to talk about, that have better explanations of the characters and stuff from the first volume, or maybe if there was like a 2-volume arc or something that we could do.
So Dragon Ball Z.
No, not Dragon Ball. I wouldn't pick Dragon Ball. But
I would either, just because I've seen the show enough times.
Yeah.
Like, and like rewatches, I'm sure too. So like, I already would know.
You'd be talking about stuff that's not even in the book,
or the stuff that's not in there. Yeah. Remember that time when Goku
fell off Snake Way? I was like, he never fell off Snake Way. You didn't read the book. Yeah, but like we might do like what's the All You Need Is Kill, which is like the Live Die Repeat movie.
Oh.
It's that, but it's the original manga it's based off.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is 2 volumes, so that's easier to read. You know, like something like that.
That's cool.
It's a full story in 2 volumes.
Yeah, maybe we'll look more into that. Ones that like,
it's on my list. So
okay, perfect. So yeah, if it only has like a few books, rather than one that's like. But
if you all know of any that are like a good story that we can tell, that we can read like 1 volume or 2 volumes and be like, yeah, we can talk about them, please let us know.
Yeah, if you know, I don't even know if they have like a one-shot in the manga world, but if you know of a story that's like you can read one or or 2,
one giant volume. Like I want to read Akira, but it's 6 volumes long, and I don't know, you know, like we ain't gonna read like 4,000 pages of manga and then talk about it in an hour. So
yeah, there's no way.
You know, we got to be able to talk about it within a reasonable amount of time and whatnot. So this isn't the Joe Rogan podcast. We can't sit here for 4 hours, or 5 hours if Alex Jones is on. So, although Alex does live in this town, so maybe we can get him on sometime. We'll
oh my god,
let's talk about comics.
No.
So anyway, that would be our biggest episode. What are you talking about?
Probably would be.
We would totally have him on.
All right, guys. So we're going to talk about
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. He come from the swamp. Obviously, the government.
He's turning the frogs gay. All right. Anyway, so Scott Pilgrim. He's just a dude. He's a random dude, and the probably the most clever thing about this book is there's a nice twist at the end, where you find out Scott's not just a regular dude kind of thing, and this world isn't the regular world.
Yeah, isn't quite what he sees. It's like, we know it takes place in Canada, and you're like, okay, yeah. So it's like,
the only thing I know about from Canada is that one Canadian character from The Simpsons who's like, I'm from Canada, and they think I'm slow, and he's just like, But yeah, anyway.
How dare you?
He's in Canada, Toronto. They're in Toronto. Do we have friends?
I have friends in Canada.
Oh.
And then we have listeners in Canada. All 33, I think I saw them.
Nice. There you go.
But hey, we could get more.
33 people download.
Hey guys, we really big Rush fans. Canadian listeners.
Hell yeah.
So
the best thing about Canada is Neil Peart. All right.
Yes. R.I.P.
Yes, R.I.P.
Anyway, Scott Pilgrim.
As you can see, Scott Pilgrim might not be the most engaging comic because we keep talking about other things. But back to Scott Pilgrim. So he's a regular guy, doing regular things. I don't even think he has like a job, does he?
No, he's in between jobs.
He's in between jobs. So like he's just like the loser guy that you hear about. He's like 23, right?
He's 23.
He's 23. He's got friends. He's in a band. He doesn't think that they're particularly good, but he doesn't think they're particularly bad.
Basically, it's like he doesn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
So I'm in a band, yeah.
But the main thing that kind of you find out right at the beginning, on the first page they say it, is he's dating a high school girl, and he's 23. So that's like the first thing you read, and that's like the setup of this character is he's dating a high school girl.
He's a little bit of a sleaze.
A little bit of a sleaze, but not that bad because we're still on his side, and they make sure he's not trying to fuck her. He's not trying to get with her.
No,
like
they haven't
that.
Even kissed.
They haven't even kissed. They haven't even held hands or hugged her.
That's right.
He's like, it's just a relationship that I just broke up with, like a serious girlfriend, and I just want a girl who likes me that I don't have to really put a lot of work into. He doesn't say it like this, but this is what it is. Like he just wants a girlfriend that likes him. And he doesn't have to put up with anything or do anything extra for her, and she just likes him, like a high school girl would, kind of thing. And
then he's lonely because I think he actually that serious relationship he had was almost a year ago too.
Right.
So
he's he's all sad about that or whatever. So that's how they justify him going out with a 17-year-old in this. Is he's not really trying to be with her or be a skis or anything. He likes having her around. She gives him attention that he wants from a woman or, the opposite sex. And he's so lonely that he's just like, yeah, this is great. I don't have to really put anything into this relationship. I can just be me. She's not going to criticize me or anything.
Yeah.
And she adores me or whatever, practically. Because she does. In this, she's like literally, she's 17. It's like, not. I don't remember if it's her first boyfriend or.
I don't think it's her first.
She had one
She's never
before.
kissed a boy, she said, either.
And so, but like, she's definitely infatuated with him.
Very much so.
Very much so. And he's kind of using her infatuation to make himself feel better in between real relationships in his mind or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going out with her, and we learn like, oh, her mom's like trying to set her up with, nice Chinese boys, because her name's Knives Chow. She's Chinese. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And they meet on a bus.
Yeah, they meet on a bus. That's about it. Like she drops her books, and he picks them up, and then that's like how they met. So, his friends are critical about it, or his one friend is. He's got a friend who's a girl. She's the drummer in the band. I don't remember her name. And then Kim, okay.
They dated too years.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then his other friend, remember the guy friend?
Oh, yeah. So
he always says his first name and last name. I can't remember what.
Yeah. So Scott is the leader. Or no, I'm sorry. So Scott Pilgrim.
Scott's the bass player. He's not the leader.
Yeah. No.
Style, isn't his last name Stills or something like that? It's like Steven
Stills. That's right. Yes.
So Steven is the name of the leader of the band.
Yeah.
And he's with. He was like, nice dude, high schooler, which makes him way creepier than Scott Pilgrim when you find out that Scott Pilgrim in his mind is saying, oh, I would never have sex with her or try to, get with her.
Yeah. So that's the 3-piece band. And then there's also a roommate that Kim and Steven have, but he's not, he's just like the band groupie, but because he lives there, and it's Neil, but they call him Young Neil.
Young Neil.
Even though he's.
No, Neil Young is his name, isn't it?
Or is it Neil? But they call him Young Neil.
Right. But I think.
Is that why?
I don't know. I think that might be why.
Okay.
I don't know. But
I missed that then when I was I was like, okay.
Or either that, or I read at the end of this book, because he had like why he named people what and everything. I think he might have said it's based on Neil Young, so maybe he just changed it around.
Okay.
And so Young Neil is what his name is. And so, yeah. And then Scott lives with his roommate, Gay Wallace. Is
Basically, they're always like, he's my roommate, and he's gay.
And he's gay. He's
Let's make
gay.
sure Wallace Wells, I think Wallace is around Scott's age, like he's like 25.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He's actually my favorite character in this book. Just because he's got like the most funny humor to me.
He does. He definitely has.
He has little one-liners that are funny, and he also like I thought it was funny when he just tried to steal the girlfriend's boyfriend later on and stuff. I was like, oh, that's funny, because I could see someone like I've had gay friends do that basically. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of real to life or whatever. So but one thing you notice when they introduce these people, it says like their name, their like what they are to Scott, so like roommate or friend or whatever, and then like their age, and then it'll put out a rating. So you're like, okay, that's a different thing.
That's
than
interesting,
a normal book.
And like the rating, sometimes their numbers, sometimes like Scott's, I think was awesome. That
right.
was his rating. So they have some differences in them.
Yeah, Wallace's was 7.5 out of 10, and so like everybody's got a different setup in their thing, and like. So the main, and that's where they don't give you any hints about this world being different at all in the main storyline until towards the very end. So,
yeah.
And I guess we'll fucking spoil it for you. So this is like, if you haven't seen the movie, this is basically like a video game world that they're living in, where people have ratings, or there's like meters for taking a leak. There's he goes to the bathroom and there's like a pee meter, and then as he goes to the bathroom, it goes down. And so you're like, oh, you went pee or whatever. So like stuff like that, it's kind of clever, but you don't really see any other reason why it would be a video game world until later on. He eventually meets a girl his own age that at a party that he kind of falls in love with automatically, which is another problematic thing. And then her name is Ramona Flowers, and she is automatically like the coolest girl ever. And
She's American,
which makes her way cooler than Canadians in his mind, I guess. That was a weird. I'm like, is she supposed to be cool because she's like foreign, or is it because she's American specifically? I don't know. Yeah. And the best thing about her that I thought was that she works for this weird little book company called Amazon, and she's like a book delivery person basically for this company you order books from online. It's a really weird company. I've never heard of it.
Amazon.ca.
.ca. I've never heard of Amazon. So, But I thought that was the fucking quaintest thing ever when I was like, oh my God, they reference Amazon before it was Amazon. Before, when it was just like, you can get really good books and some media because he orders CDs on it. Yeah. I was like, CDs? The fuck? Yeah, so that was pretty awesome that they referenced that. But yeah, so he like falls in love with this girl, Ramona Flowers.
Ramona Flowers.
I was gonna say Fiona Apple. That's what I was saying. And like it's weird because they like instantly, like he instantly is in love with her without any reason to be. He just like sees her.
Oh well, no. What it is so we'll back up a little because he has a dream.
Yes, but that's what I mean. Like out of nowhere. How does this happen? There's a dream he has of Fiona. Oh no, sorry, not Fiona. Of Ramona. I'm not going to say that because I put it in my head. Of Ramona. And then so yeah, he puts it in his like he has a dream of Ramona. I can't remember what she's doing in the dream. Is she delivering stuff or something?
Yeah, she just like he like so
before he meets her.
Yeah,
he has a dream about her.
Yeah, he's been dating Knives for a little bit.
That's like a music line, actually. I've heard lyrics that are very close to that line. Before he met her, he had dreams about her. Don't take that. That's my line. Right?
Yeah. So, like, Scott's hanging out with Knives. Knives comes and sees the band one day, and she totally, like, geeks out over it. One thing I did like, so, like, when the band plays, like, they show like music lines or whatever, but also like the next page they had like lyrics and they were like, look, these are the tabs. And,
yeah.
and they had like the chords.
Potentially play the song.
You could.
And if I'm sure it's in 4/4, so just assume what the rhythm is and then they had the lyrics too, so you could sing the lyrics. So yeah.
That was kind of cool. I had never seen that in a comic before. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like so Scott is like, okay, it says goodbye. The band's like, okay, she's kind of cool. Like, you know, as long as she's not going to be crazy, we will keep her around. And then Scott gets introduced, we get introduced to Scott's sister, and she's a fun little character too because she's like, "You're dating a high schooler," and she's like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "Wallace, Gay Wallace told me."
Gay Wallace told me everything.
Yeah, and so I guess Wallace is also like the you know he talks to everyone is kind of like the guy behind
the connection between everybody.
Yeah, and so like Scott's been hanging out with Knives, and like I guess they have like these little dates or whatever, and
like he'll pick her up from school and shit. Which if you're a teacher at a high school, and you see like one of your students going away with like a 23-year-old guy who's not her brother or whatever, like wouldn't you be like, wait, is she getting like kidnapped or something? What's going on?
I like when Scott introduces her to Wallace, and Wallace is like, "You're too good for him."
Yeah,
like run.
That's the stuff I thought Wallace was funny.
Yeah,
because he would do stuff like that. Yeah,
and I like the two that like it's like right before he has the dream, like they're walking back and they walk by his place, and she's like, "Oh, can I see your secret place?" And she's like, he says, "No, like that's kind of my place, but I'll show you where I grew up." And they turn around, and his house is right across the street where he used to live. But I guess he said his parents don't live there anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was
well. And where they live, where he lives now, is like almost like a bunker.
It looks like a basement bunker.
It looks like a 50s nuclear shelter under a house.
Yeah, because
the door is like hidden by or surrounded by concrete and everything. And
and it's only like a big room, a little side kitchen, a bathroom.
It's a studio. It's basically a studio apartment, but
bunker studio.
Yeah. So and then him and Wallace share a bed.
Oh yeah. They
make sure to say not gay.
No, they just happen. They only have one bed on the ground, and then they
and it's not even like a bed. It's like they say futon. I think futon means different things in different places. This is just a very thin mat on the ground that they both sleep on. So with a sheet in between them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, and basically we learn like pretty much everything in the apartment, but Scott's clothes is all Wallace,
and Wallace pays for everything.
Yeah.
So literally, Scott seems like the biggest dick ever. I don't know how people were like, yeah, I like Scott in this book, because he really does come off like he's a loser who doesn't have a job or anything going on. He's 23, doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, has a shitty band.
Starts dating a high school kid.
Lives with his friend who pays for everything, and he just fucks up the place. So like,
he doesn't really have
why
much
is he
going for him.
endearing at all? I don't know. And then he starts stalking a woman. So like, you know, how are you supposed to feel about this? I don't know. So anyway, the dream he has is just him alone in a desert, and he's like, I'm so lonely. I'm so alone. Then this girl with pink hair skates up on roller skates and just says, oh, shut up. You're not alone. You're just having some idiotic dream, and then goes away. And he's just like, that was a weird dream. And then he sees her, and he's like, he sees her at a party, right? That's
yeah.
like, so he goes to a party, he sees her, and he's like, holy shit. No, he doesn't see her at a party. He's her at the library.
Oh, he sees her at the library with knives. Yeah. That's right. He's at the library with knives, and he's like, libraries remind me of school. And she's like, yeah, that must have been a long time ago for you.
Yeah, and then like he sees this girl delivering a book to a library, which I guess is what Amazon would do. And then and she like rollerblades all around, which is also a very weird thing. People don't rollerblade past 1996, right?
Well, I mean, it is coming back now, right now.
No, but I mean,
but not in
back in 2006 or 5 or whatever this was. So, yeah, and he sees her, and it's the girl from his dream, and he's like, "Whoa, the girl from my dream, she's crazy. I love her. I must be with her," basically. But he's like with knives and stuff, so he can't really show it. But he's just like automatically dumbstruck.
Yeah,
for like the whole rest of the day. So much they're playing, and he's just like blah. Blah,
yeah, like Scott, you played one note in this whole
whole time, and then he just says waffle to the like at the, you know, he's like brainwashed because he's so like blown away by this girl who's from his dream, which is like a weird, that doesn't say video game to me or anything, so it's kind of a weird, like, we must introduce her somehow. Why would he be obsessed with her other than him having her in a dream? So it's kind of like a weird setup for why he's so obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, he has another dream the next night or that night after they have a band, you know, meeting, and, you know, she's there again, watching them play on stage, and of course they're rocking out perfect, and she's in the audience and she's loving it, and he wakes up again, he's like, I'm obsessed with her. So then he goes to a party and he sees her and he tries to talk to her, and he's literally like, I don't understand why she would go out with him, because I have said much smoother lines than this to a girl at a party and got nowhere. So but he walks up to her and he's literally like, hey, what's up? And she's like, nothing. And he looks down and he sees her shoes look kind of weird. He's like, nice shoes. And she's like, cool, got them in England, thanks. And then he's like, they remind me of something. I can't remember what I'm dreaming. You've been in my dreams, like, you know, just weird. Like, I'll leave you alone forever now, bye. And like, just weird.
Yeah, and
you know,
that's one thing I did like. Like, they usually have really big, like kind of like you said, like in the style of manga eyes. They're really big pupils and really big eyes centered in the face. And then like her pupils get real small. I like, and it's just like,
yeah.
What is this weirdo talking about?
Any girl would just instantly then put him in the weird, creepy guy pile.
Never again.
Never to talk to him again.
Avoid at all costs.
I don't understand how he charms her or whatever at all in this. But after this, you know, he gets introduced to her again, and like, she's cool with talking to him and hanging out with him and saying hi or whatever. So, but before he does that, before he gets introduced to her again, he stalks her.
Yeah, he stalks her so like he ruins it at the party, but he stalks her the whole party, and then he talks to other people after she leaves.
He talks to people that might know her to get information about her.
Yeah,
like where she works, where she lives.
She do? What?
Well, yeah.
Oh, she works for Amazon. What's that?
What's Amazon? And then he's like, oh, I must order CDs from Amazon, so then she'll deliver to me.
So yeah, like, he's like, he got to figure it out, and he orders stuff, and as soon as he's done ordering, he goes and sits in front of the door.
What the worst thing about it, he doesn't have a Prime membership, so it comes 5 days later.
Oh yeah.
I was like, whoa, Amazon used to have regular shipping.
They're like, no, it's not going to be delivered until at least Monday. That's right. Wallace is like, what are you doing?
No, he said it won't be shipped until at least Monday because it's Friday right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, they didn't have Prime back then. They did not have Prime.
What a horrible world.
Yeah, what a horrible world before Prime. Amazon, we love you. You are
Amazon,
you are our rulers,
our overlords.
And we love you for Prime.
You with shaking hands with Disney and our total control domination of the world.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Yeah. So, he like basically orders something just to get her over there.
Sorry, just real quick. How much money do you think Jeff Bezos has made while we've been recording this podcast?
More money than I will ever see in my lifetime. So,
anyway, Scott
could buy us and sell us 100 times over, and you, and you, and you.
Yes. Everyone that listens to your podcast,
could also be bought and sold 100 times over.
All of us.
So anyway. If you could divide that by enough, you'll find out how much listeners we have. So, so yeah, basically he goes and does a really stalkery move, which is just he orders from Amazon, anticipating she's going to be the delivery person, but also he goes around and like asks everybody about her, where she works, where she lives, all this creepy stuff. I did like how he like described her to people. He's like, do you know that girl? I don't know her name, but she's got this, and he just puts her like his fingers down, like she's got like rabbi curly cues or something. I don't know how you describe it.
She does have like long, they're not bangs because they're not connected.
No, she's got like longer hair along the side of her head or whatever. Yeah. So on each side of her head, she's got a long piece of hair that goes down. I don't know what that haircut's called because I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
John is a wild man. He lives in a bush and doesn't have haircuts. So he doesn't know what those.
I haven't had a haircut in a year from quarantine, pretty much.
40 years. He looks like Grizzly Adams. So I just thought that was funny how he described her to other people, and they were instantly like, "Oh yeah, you mean Ramona?"
No, yeah,
like, yeah, okay, I know.
I know her.
Yeah, totally. And so yeah, he gets all this information on her, and then he's still going out with knives, but he doesn't really know how to tell her, like, hey, I'm not going to break up, or I don't, he doesn't know how to break up with her or let her down. And so he still like goes out on a date with her in between meeting her again, meeting Ramona again. And like, but it's like a date where he's like he's not paying attention to her barely. Like he's kind of like, yeah, great. And she's telling him what her day was like. And he's like, oh, that's great. Cool. But he's not really like contributing or anything. Then she hugs him, and then they have their like first kiss. Like she kisses him, and he's like, "Oh my God, I gotta go back to see the bar knives," and then he runs away because he doesn't know what to do. Because he's like, "I like this other girl now, obsessively, not." And you were just a placeholder, for a relationship. Knives.
I do appreciate that his friends are like, okay, but you have to, if you're gonna try to go after Ramona, you have to break up,
right? Because they're all better people than Scott Pilgrim.
Because he's just like, at this point, he's just like, I don't know, like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And so then he eventually tracks down Ramona when, he has another dream about Ramona. Wakes up to the doorbell ringing, and Ramona is there with the CDs. And she doesn't remember him, of course, because he was the weird kid at the party that she forgot.
Yes, out of sight, out of mind.
And he's like, oh my God, it's you, and I think we should date. That's like the first fucking thing he says out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I'm good. Just go ahead and sign for
can you sign for this package? I'm just trying to deliver. And he's like, hey, I just woke up and you were in my dream, and I dreamed you were delivering this package. Is that weird? And she's like, yes. That is weird. And then she goes, oh, I remember you now, because you said the same kind of thing at that party or whatever. And so, yeah, like, I don't know why she is interested in him after this whole thing, but that would freak most women out if they're like, hey, I had a dream about you, and for real, and you were there. And
maybe, you know what? That wouldn't freak out women nowadays, but maybe 15 years
maybe not Glenn Close from that movie. What's that movie where she's crazy?
Oh,
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, maybe not Glenn Close from Fatal Attraction, but
Well, I just mean like, well, maybe because maybe she's the new girl in town. Because so he keeps her there talking, and then eventually he's
wears
like,
her down.
Yeah, eventually he's like, okay, we don't have to like date or whatever, but you want to like, you're new to town. I've lived in this town my whole life because I'm so cool, right?
Yeah.
I could show you around town then, so we could like hang out sometime.
And then the worst line he says is, like you're basically like, I'm so obsessed with you or whatever. And she's like, and then he stops and goes, wait, let's say I didn't say obsessed or whatever. And it's like, you did though.
You did.
So like, so she's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll hang out with you. That's cool or whatever. 8 o'clock or what. And so, yeah, like they make a little date where, they're going out. And I don't understand why she would go out with him. And then this was like a weird thing. I don't know if this was put in here. This felt like really street creddy to me. Like, I read comics even though I'm drawing this manga or whatever. But and I'm sure it's not this, and it just felt like it. I'm Brian Lee O'Malley. I'm sure you read X-Men. But on Scott Pilgrim's jacket, he's got an X symbol. And this is after movies and stuff, so like it's not that weird for there to be an X symbol. But like she points it out and she's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, you mean this X? You know, like obviously you didn't go to Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters." And like, you know, haha, that's funny. And I'm like, really? Like this is like 2005 or whatever.
Is that funny? If you really didn't know what it is?
Yeah, and also if you didn't know what it was, and then also like it just seemed like he put it in there for like, oh, I totally know what X-Men is, guys. Like I'm a real comic nerd, don't worry. But like, yeah, it's just weird that why would Scott Pilgrim, you know, flaunt the
especially as again we're gonna go along, it's gonna not also be a real like as a normal world. It's gonna be like
it's not our world. It's a different kind of world. So whatever. But either way, they go on a date and he is stupidly charming. He charms the pants off of her, basically.
Somehow, well, again, like they're talking about kind of like their backgrounds a little and like where they came from a little bit, and like she's still kind of being coy about it and
she invites him back to her house because that was the other weird thing. I wasn't sure if this is because it's a video game world or whatever, but like their date starts, then it's cold, then it starts raining, then it starts snowing, then it starts blizzarding, and so like literally. It was just like a reason for him to get into the house?
I think so. And that was one of the things, like it got more blizzardy.
But I was like, wait, is that because it's a video game world or is it because
it's just Canada? That's what I would
Canada? Yeah, maybe it's because it's just Canada. I don't know.
And that's what I took it. It was just weird because she's like, oh,
I didn't even put that in it's Canada, eh?
It's Canada. But she's like, I think it's over here. And he's like, what? She's like, oh, a door. And it was weird because then there's like a splash page of like them like falling into an abyss and going towards a door.
Yeah, and then it was just her door to her house.
And just so that was the
and it looked like a Kirby Dream World door too. It had like a star on it, like if you were like going into Kirby's Dream Land or whatever.
So that was the first page that really you're like, that's a little weird.
I was just like confused. I was just like, what? Like, did the sky go black and that's why we like can't see the everything but the door, or what happened?
I don't know. It was weird.
So anyway, so she invites him in, and like they were gonna get freaky after she gives him tea and stuff. But no, she was like, you can sleep in my bed. And he's like, well, don't worry, I don't want to push you to have sex or whatever. And she's like, no, I don't. We don't have to have sex.
The way it happened, it was weird because. I'm not, again, we're not trying to go back to harp on it. It was just very like, so they go in and she's like, hey, you want some tea? Sure. Okay. Yeah. Here, you're cold. I'll warm up the tea.
I'll be back in a second.
Be right back. So she goes away and like, literally like in one panel, he gets up to follow her after she's like left the room. And then he goes into her bedroom
and just walks into her bedroom.
And she's like, she has her back turned, like she has just her bra on, and
she's like, dude, I'm changing.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm cold.
And then she's like, oh, let me warm you up. Like,
is this better?
No girl would be like, that would be, to me at least, a red flag. One, dude's weird, right? Yeah. Says he's obsessed with me. Followed me, figured out how
I told him to wait here.
And he follows me into the room while I'm changing. Then he's like, I'm cold. That's why I'm here. She doesn't take that as a warning sign. She's like, I'm cold too. And then like goes up to him and is like, does this feel good? Like we're both warm now. Then they make out.
And then like you said, then they get into bed and they're gonna look like they're gonna get it on. And then it was also like, wait a minute, I only see one blanket in here in your bed. Were you just going to bring that? And she's like, I guess. Well, maybe we should get under those covers. They do. And then Ramona's like, actually, I'm not going to sleep with you. But she's a strong woman and she reserves the right to change her mind on that.
Yes. And he's like, that's cool with me.
He's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I will just, she's like, but I won't send you out in the cold. You can sleep here. You don't have to go back out in the blizzard.
Yeah. Well, that's nice of her. So, I just thought that was kind of an odd, like, I don't know, the blizzard happened just to get them at this point or kind of thing or whatever. I
guess it was a little odd.
It was very opportunistic for him. And then I thought it was funny because he's like, she's up in the morning ready to go to work and he's in bed still. I'm like, motherfucker, this is not your house. you should at least get up when she gets up and be like, hey, would you like breakfast or something or whatever, you know, like, but of course he's a dumb fucking loser. So he like has nothing to do. And so
like, you're getting ready for work.
What are you doing again? You go to work in the morning. What? And so she's like, yeah, can you get the fuck out of my bed? Cause I have to like go to work and stuff. So yeah, I thought that was like, really, man, you took forever to get out of her house. But yeah, so then in the meantime, he keeps getting like weird emails and weird letters from someone who's like, Scott Pilgrim.
You're Scott Pilgrim. I am Matthew Patel, and I will.
And then he's like, oh, I don't know. This is some kind of sales gimmick or some shit, and like deletes it or throws it away. And so, basically, what that is, we find out later is, Ramona's got ex-boyfriends. And this is the other thing. Exes. They're not going out yet. That's the first date. They're not dating in plural, and they're not boyfriend, girlfriend. They're not anything yet. This is a very beginning of a possible relationship. No one has said anything other than that.
Yeah.
And he's already gotten an email and a letter from her ex-boyfriend or whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, God damn. He must also be a stalker keeping tabs on her.
They all are.
Yeah, they all are.
All of her ex-boyfriends.
Specifically him, because he's like right on Scott Pilgrim right away, you know, who was sitting there. So that was weird too, I thought. But either way, you know, and during this whole thing too, he's still
dating Knives.
Yeah, Knives is like, hey, and she's kissing him.
She's like, I got a cute new haircut. What do you think, Scott? Yeah,
and then so like anyway, they have a show. They finally have a show with their band, which I'm like, this band would never play a show. But they have a band, or like not a battle band. It was just like a regular show.
Yeah, they're playing with another band, but I guess one of them doesn't like that band. It's Crash and the Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that band Crash with his boys?
Yeah, that was funny.
I like some of those comments were good, and like you said, Wallace has a lot of good one-liners.
And they have a drummer who's named Trasha,
who is also a girl. That's right.
She's 8 years old.
Kim's like, they have a girl drummer.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
But she's 8, which is more surprising to me
than
that. But although now, not back then. Back then, that would be surprising. Nowadays, I would not be surprised.
That's true. Every time you turn on YouTube, you're like, whoa.
Fucking YouTube ruined any hobby you've ever wanted to have as an older person. Because you're like, let me look how to... And there's like a child who's like, can't even talk or wipe their butt, but they can do whatever you want to do at like a level that you will never be able to accomplish. So...
Yeah, I thought there was supposed to be like a few prodigies within like a generation. No. And now it's like...
Well, you know, I think that's old. That's when information was limited. Now we have limitless information. You can start learning how to play drums or whatever when you're like 2.
In the womb. All right, baby, listen to these.
Yeah,
these
here's a little Neil Peart. Here's a little Led Zeppelin. You know, some Keith Moon.
Get
for
this
you.
Down.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a metronome up to you on one side. And then...
I like it. I'm gonna, if I ever have a child, I will do that. Yeah, I will totally do that if my wife would let me. It's up to her. It's her body.
Yes, her body.
You know, but I will do it. I will put headphones on her stomach if she lets me. But
that baby will come out the next Neil Peart.
Exactly. He will be the reincarnation of Neil Peart. I'll call him Peel Nert. And then,
This is definitely our most Canadian episode.
Yes, there you go. And his brother will be Letty Gee, and then and Alex, I guess.
just keep it Alex.
Just still Alex. Yeah. So anyway, they have a band. They have a show with a band, and they're like, they're nervous about it or whatever. But Knives is invited. She's super excited. She has to like sneak out of her house and shit because she's underage and all this stuff. But she goes. Everybody goes there that we've seen in this comic.
And Scott also invited Ramona to this show.
So Knives is going to be there and Ramona. And as Knives runs in, she like kisses him, and then Scott is like, oh, in front of all these older people who are at the show. And then he sees Ramona, and then this is what does she see him kiss?
I think she sees the kiss.
Okay, because there's a weird scene where it says, it introduces Ramona. It says Ramona V. Flowers, age unknown, status. Scott is an idiot right after he does this, but then she goes up and talks to him and has no problem with him and continues with the storyline of, you're going to have to fight my boyfriends kind of thing. if you want to be with me. So
yeah.
So yeah, anyway, the first band goes on, kills it. Then they go on, and as they're about to go on,
I do like they have one. I just wanted to throw. They have one song that's like they're like, this song is called "I'm So Very Sad," so very very sad, and it's like so sad. And I think I remember that from the movie too. And it's literally like 4 seconds long. They're like,
I think it's 4 milliseconds.
Or 4 milliseconds long.
It's like it's the fastest song ever.
They're like you guys can try a little harder.
Yeah. So anyway, they finish, and then like this guy shows up as they're starting their sex. The name of their band is Sex Bomb.
Sex.
Also.
We are Sex Bomb. Yeah.
Bomb. That's how it's spelled.
Bomb.
And so it's interesting band name, terrible band name, I would say, but that's just me. And but yeah, so this guy,
they're about to play.
As they're starting to play, flies out of nowhere and is like, Mr. Pilgrim, I am Matthew Patel. I challenge you to a fight. Basically, and we find out this dude is like an ex-boyfriend of him. But the weirdest thing about this is not the, hey, I'm an ex-boyfriend of Ramona or whatever. It's that Scott's like, all right, guys, get off stage. And all of a sudden, he goes from like dumbass who doesn't have a job, who doesn't know anything, who's in a shitty band, blah, 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 loser, to I'm the best fighter in Canada or whatever, or the world, and or this town at least.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they were like, one of them, I think his sister's like, why would he challenge Scott? Don't they know he's the best fighter in like town or something?
No, not in town, like because this guy's not from town.
Oh, that's true.
This guy's from New York or whatever, right? All these other boyfriends are from different areas because Ramona's from different areas. So he's got to be the best fighter in the region or North America or something, So like, but he takes his dude out like no problem. The best fighter in the province.
No, but that's what they say about Scott.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So it was just weird.
So why would he be able to take this guy out no matter?
No. They're saying Scott is the best fighter in the province.
Right, but this guy's not from the province.
I know, but that's what it's just weird.
So he could potentially have been better.
Yes.
He also had demons and other things that could back him up.
That's what
Fireballs.
I'm saying. It just was so weird that all of a sudden, this is where we get the information that Scott's a fighter, and not only a fighter, the best fighter in all of in that province.
I guess if you think about it, it's kind of like Mario. Mario's a fat plumber, but also he can save princesses and defeat dragons. He's
the best fighter in the
Bowser's
in the underground pipe worlds. I don't know.
Wow, in the pipeline. Yes,
he's good at laying that pipe.
Yes. Wow. Yeah.
So Scott Pilgrim, they're fighting, and
oh man, I came up with some good ones in my head, but I'm not going to continue that. Anyway,
they're fighting. Scott is definitely better, but they're fighting, but
Scott doesn't even get like winded from this dude.
No,
he does like a 64 hit combo, no problem. But this is where you find out he's like, I'm Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend. Yeah. You must fight us. Blah blah blah. They kind of make fun of him for looking like a pirate or whatever.
He's like, pirates are in this year.
Yeah, it's like a goth.
And we get a little thing because they're like, wait, you're an ex of hers, and they kind of like look up at Ramona, and she's like, yeah, it was in the 7th grade. We kissed once. We were like together for like a week.
Right. So that's my thing is, how is that an ex though? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Look, I'm going to go on the tiniest tangent here real fast about this because that's how I feel too. There is a distinct thing, and I'm in this.
No. And also, I would get it if it was a boy. Like if Scott was like, that's my ex. But she is also going along with it like, yes, that is my ex, Patel. He's my first ex from when I was in 7th grade. No girl considers a guy that they dated or kissed once or whatever a boyfriend.
Now, see, this is where I'm going to flip it on you because and it's particular because I've had 2 girls do this to me, and my wife and I were talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I kind of get it," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" My wife told me that like, yeah, if she dated a guy for a week, yeah, she'd consider him an ex-boyfriend or whatever, and I was like, "Really?" And I was like, "I don't at all." Like so like in particular, I had 2 girls.
You told her you've only been dating one person ever in the whole life.
No, but I had
400.
I had
girlfriends.
2 girls that I had asked out and quote unquote gone out with. I went on a date with one girl, and she said, and like I remember her saying, like And like I still was like friends with both of them, whatever. But like I remember her saying in a group one time, like, "Oh yeah, John's an ex technically." Like we went out one time, and I was like, "One time? That's not an ex." Yeah. And then
John just doesn't want to get tied down.
Yeah, and then not only that
is not my child.
I had this kid is not my son.
Yeah.
I had another girl that I asked out at the beginning of the day. I think it was a Valentine's Day actually too. And this was this was like...
And you dated for 4 hours?
This is like, I think, 9th grade or something.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, anything before like 18, it's not an ex.
And then literally, I think it was like the beginning of the next day or whatever. She's like, I think I just want to stay friends. Okay, that's fine or whatever. And she was in ROTC with me back in high school. And it was like a couple years later in ROTC in our group. And she was like, oh yeah, John and I dated. And I was like, no, we didn't. We didn't even go on a date. Yeah. And she's like, no, like you asked me out. And I said yes. And then, I was like, that's not, what is dating then? I don't understand this concept. So
girls be fucking with John's head. That's all it is.
Just going back on this a little bit, then I'm reading Scott Pilgrim and I see, oh yeah, we dated for like a week, and it's like, that's not dating. You went like.
That's what I would say. If I was Scott, I'd be like, none of those are dates, and these are all just creepy stalkers.
They kissed once and they hung out for a week. That's not dating.
Yeah, that's not.
But okay, teach their own. I guess people have different opinions of those things.
And not only that, but they go back into the history of this, where she literally just went with him to like piss off all the jocks.
Yeah.
So like she didn't even like him. So how was that an ex? It wasn't like they actually had a thing for each other, and then it didn't work out after a week.
They beat up some exes together because that's one thing they do say, he's got fireball powers somehow.
So she used him.
Yeah. But then she's like, it wasn't really like a big thing.
Yeah, and so I don't understand why like they set up this whole thing where like you got to find her ex-boyfriend, but none of these are ex-boyfriends to me, at least. At least this one isn't the one that we read in this book. So that was one of my biggest things. I was like, why are these exes when I read it originally? But for this read, I was definitely like, I would not consider anyone in high school an ex anymore unless we dated for like 4 years and it lasted through high school.
Exactly. If I was
going with someone when we were 16, and then even if it was in high school, if I was 14 and we were dating and it was for a year, that's just you being stupid in high school. Like,
okay,
I would say like unless it lasted through high school into like college or adulthood, then okay, yeah, we dated for like 5 years. We were high school sweethearts, and then we stopped. That was my first girlfriend. Like, so unless that happened, I ain't saying anybody from below 18 was an ex. So yeah, this is ridiculous, I thought. But so it just seemed like this is a little juvenile thing, and then also to beat them. Or to beat this guy and his like demon hordes or whatever, he has like all the people fight with him, which I'm like, isn't that cheating? You didn't defeat him.
It says
all of them.
Yeah,
all of them did. So like he gets like all the audience to like help them beat him or whatever.
Well, I guess it stuns and then he KOs him, so he technically.
Okay, whatever. He cheated, is what it is.
I did like that. He KOs him and then it goes poo.
Yes. So this is where you really find out it's a video game. This is the shock moment of like, I thought something was weird, and this confirms it. Is if you've never read this book before, you're reading, he defeats the boyfriend, and the boyfriend is floating in midair for a second, and then all of a sudden he pops into coins, like in Mario or something, or Sonic, and he's like, sweet coins, and he picks them up, and it's like $250 or whatever. He's like, man, not even enough to ride the bus.
Yeah.
And so so he's then after this. Yeah, it's normal, nothing. Him and Ramona are riding the subway home, and he's like, we should talk about this, shouldn't we? And he's like, you just want to make out? And she's like, sure. And then he's like, so I guess that guy was your boyfriend, huh? And she's like, yeah, I guess you're gonna have to fight my 7 evil ex-boyfriends if you want to date me. And he's like, 7? And she's like, 6 or 7. Like, so. The weird thing about this is why? I get it's supposed to be like a video game world and you have to have some way to get to her, but like this is the problematic part of this.
Oh yeah, they're like they made this girl a prize
to win. Right.
Yeah, that's definitely whoa.
Right. And then the rules are if you defeat them, I have to then date you, kind of thing. So it's a weird, like, wait, is she allowed to say
I don't
no
know.
to
It says that you have to date. It's just that
that's what they make it. They set it up.
That's the only way that he can date her,
right?
Basically,
is by fighting her 7 ex-boyfriends.
If he doesn't, then yes, then they can't date.
Yeah,
so I guess that's a little less, but still, it's questionable.
Odd. It's an odd, problematic. That's that word again. It's a problematic theme in this book. So, but yeah, I get it. Like they wanted to set up the video game premise of you have to defeat, more and more powerful people. They could have gone about it a different way, though. Maybe the 7 boyfriends are attacking him without her saying it's okay or whatever. Like this just seems like she's on the board with it. Like she's in this system of video game patriarchy, we'll call it, and so that's what it seems like. Whereas I don't know, nowadays you would just have her be like, "This is stupid. Why are you guys fighting?" And it's like, "I must." And that's funnier and more acceptable kind of thing,
Yeah.
Or the boyfriends are like, "You must fight me." He's like, "No," and then he's got to beat the fuck out of him, even though he doesn't want to or whatever, So more acceptable for nowadays. But either way, that's what everybody says is not acceptable in this kind of thing. But yeah, basically it ends with her being like on the bus with him, and he's like, "Oh, you want to go out with me?" And she's
because he mentions because there's the only name that we get before is some guy named Gideon.
Oh yeah,
and she's like,
of like a past boyfriend.
And she's like, "Well, did you date this Gideon one of those?" And she like clams up, and that's kind of the end of it. She's like, "I'm fine. Like, let's not talk about this. Move on."
Yeah, and then he asks, "You still want to go out with me?" And she's like, "Yes." So that's where it ends. But he's like kind of freaked out because she's freaked out about him fighting Gideon or whatever. So yeah, that's like the main story of this one. We get like the whole setup of it's a video game world. We're gonna have to now we know what the next mangas are gonna be about. Where he's gonna have to fight progressively harder boyfriends. We're assuming, so it's like a Cell tournament in Dragon Ball or whatever. And it would be great. You know what would have been awesome in this is if in the later boyfriends, one of them has like levels, like Frieza Saga, where he's like, "Oh, that's just my first form."
You only beat my first form. And he like,
and then he like transforms into some crazy monster.
That would be cool.
Shit.
Like he's kind of like small and skinny, and he beats him. He's like, "Oh yeah, well that was my first." And then he bulks up.
Yeah, that would be fun. So they didn't do that though. So
we're writing
a better version.
Pot Skilgrim.
There you go. Yes. Spilgrim. Silgrim. There you go.
And this is in
Pacat Silgrim.
It's in Alaska, not Canada.
Yeah.
So it's still cold, and
it's in Serbia.
Serbia.
Or Siberia. That's what I meant.
Okay, yeah.
Siberia. That's colder, right? Not Serbia. Serbia is a totally different place. Sorry, Serbians, if you're listening.
Wow. On that note, what would you rate this, man? I'm gonna take the ones out of your mouth.
Take over the reins. We're getting off the rails here. I would rate this one at, honestly, like a 5. To me, this one is
5.
Is not like if I like honestly when I read this the first time I was like I guess I'll keep reading this because
what would you have given this originally if you're giving it a 5 now?
When I originally read it I was like I don't care about this at all.
Okay.
Like the humor didn't really land with me. You know me back in the day. Musically it didn't land with me or anything. Hipstery it didn't land with me. I was a metalhead.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
True.
If it wasn't Metallica, you could go fuck yourself is what I pretty much lived by back in the day. So in this time point, I was like, wow, I don't care about these, like this shitty hipster kid.
Teenage kid. Like, these are all the people I would have hated in high school.
Yes, exactly.
Screw this.
Fuck all of these people. And so that's pretty much how I read this book. Like, oh, it's some hipster wrote a manga about being hipster. Okay, cool. And then like, okay, the video game stuff's kind of interesting or funny. But I had to read all of them because I sold them at the store. So, yeah, like that's like I did not like it at all. Pretty much, like I would have given it a 3 or something back then, or 4. Like I just had no interest in it at all. But now I'm like, okay, I see the influence. Like it is influential because it is like one of the first big American mangas or North American mangas that came out by a non. It's not like a Japanese blowing it up over here or something. It's like an actual someone from North America released manga and we're all buying it, and everybody's loving it, and within like 4 years, it made a movie, and you know what I'm saying, like just shit like that.
It had enough hype behind it.
Yeah, it had enough hype, so it is influential and whatnot. The story is dog shit to me as far as like, not dog. Okay, no, that it was dog shit. Now it's just kind of like blah. I don't care. Like I read it and it was just. I mean, I literally read this in like 20 minutes, and it's a 160-page book.
Yeah, that's true. This was a very fast read.
Yeah, so there wasn't a lot of substance in it, and I also thought Scott was a pretty shitty guy.
I'll give you that. So like
I didn't understand why he was a hero.
Maybe I'll go back and watch the movie and I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I want to read. That's true. I don't know if I want to read, but if I'll look through the rest to see, because that's one thing. By the end of this, I'm not a Scott Pilgrim fan as the character.
Yeah, I can't see him being redeemed. Does he have a job and like take care of his kids after this, or what? Like,
so I'll say this. Only thing I remember in the movie as far as him getting there is that he gets he goes through and beats all the exes, and then I remember there's like a redo at the end. He gets like a 1-up or whatever.
Yeah.
And like at first he's fighting for love, and then he's fighting for self-respect. And I guess what he learned through all of this was that he should work on himself, which is a good thing. Yeah, you want to work on yourself before you can work and love yourself before you can love somebody else. That is a great message. But
that's a RuPaul message right there. How are you gonna love somebody? How are you gonna love yourself if you don't? Or what is it? What is it? How are you gonna love yourself?
How are you gonna love somebody else if you don't love yourself?
There you go. That's what it is.
Something like that. Sashay away.
Yeah, there you go. I don't fucking know.
You have not been watching Drag Race with your wife.
I read comics while she watches Drag Race.
So you catch things?
Yes.
I have watched many a Drag Race with my wife. She is very much obsessed.
Yeah.
Mama Roo, if you're listening, check out our podcast.
I'm sure RuPaul is listening to this.
Anyway. So yeah, so Matt gives it 5. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm gonna give it a little more because I like the art. I think it's fun.
I didn't give a fuck about the art either in this. Like, to me, it's not necessarily bad. It gets the point, it gets the job done.
Yeah.
But if you showed me this versus any other kind of indie book art, I wouldn't be like, oh, I know who Brian Lee O'Malley is out of that. There are some people that do indie books that I read where I'm like, I can automatically tell that's them. And this, I was like, if you gave me this book with no cover,
I would not be able
to tell you who did the art in it.
I am going to give it a 6, and that is because I like the art. I like some of the expressions that people had. I like some of the transitions that he had, and I liked some of the things that were unique in here, like having when the band started playing, having the guitar tabs and the lyrics.
Yes, there were some clever things.
There was some, it was some neat things I hadn't seen before, so I like that. The only reason it's not going higher, and I remember liking the movie. I'll just to hop to that again for a second.
But that's also partly because of Edgar Wright.
Yeah, and maybe that is why. But I remember liking the movie, but thinking about some of these things are definitely now again problematic. But so hopping out of that and again just into this and reintroducing the character, I don't see the hero in Scott yet, and maybe there will be. I don't know if I want to read more.
Okay, so I can't remember how. I read I think 5 volumes of this. I think there was 5 volumes at the time. So, not at the time when I read it, but 5 volumes eventually came out over my course of being at the comic book store. So, I'm pretty sure he's always the same guy the whole time.
Yeah, the only matter of fact, in this one, he's even kind of shittier because he's not only is he getting not being true with one girl, he's being with 2,
and a 16-year-old or 17-year-old who doesn't know. She doesn't know anything. She's young. She's impressionable. He's using her.
Yeah,
to feel better about himself.
All of his character traits are not.
He's the kind of person that you're he's the friend that you have in high school that you hopefully eventually leave away because they never grow and they never become anything, with their life or whatever. So
yeah, so
please go away.
I don't know. I might just to see. I'll probably rewatch the movie now.
I said, he needs to start reading Jocko Willink books and, make an honest woman out of Ramona. And then, have kids and support them and get a real job and, you know, all that stuff.
But Knives loves him too. What is he supposed to do about that?
Not have sex with her because she's 17.
Well, no. I'm saying, but like she will.
He needs to let her down easy so she can live her life normally and realize that I am an asshole. You don't.
Wallace was right. You're too good.
Yes, that's why I like Wallace, because he's kind of like the honesty in this book, where he's like.
That's true. You know? He is the best character in this novel, because he's the only one that's like honest throughout it all. Because like he's honest with. He's honest with Scott too. He's honest with his partners. He's on like.
Well, with Scott, he's even like, "You want me to pay for all your shit still?" Like he'll just say that out straight, and Scott's like, "Yeah, that'd be great if you could." And he's like, "All right."
When he tries to get Scott's sister's boyfriend, and I think they end up kissing, and he's like, "Sorry, like I can't. What can I say? Like, you know, people like me." So, yeah. Like he's just the most like well-rounded character. Like he's funny. He
seems to have his shit together. You know, I don't know. So, and he's the one with, you know, the money and the house and everything. And
the bomb shelter.
The bomb shelter, yeah. So, you know, I just feel like Scott Pilgrim is, you know, it just reminds me of like me at 20, where I'm like, I'm living in at home and I don't got anything going on and I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, and I'm dating a girl from high school. This was not me, but like, you know, I'm dating a girl from high school because I feel like shit about myself, and they're easier to, you know, mesmerize with a car and money or whatever, you know. So like shit like that, like that's just what it felt like. I did not do any of that stuff, so but yeah, it's just like I don't know, I just felt like Scott was a really shitty person, and I was surprised that this book took off so well with him being the lead character and people relating to him and thinking he was cute / clever. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, it just didn't. Like Mario is a much more charming character, you know. He's a plumber. He's got a job.
He's already got he hired his brother.
Yeah,
make sure his
he takes care of family, brother. You know, and you know, saves princesses.
He's such a resilient fellow, because he'll go to a castle and then there's this little toad dude here, and he's like, sorry, wrong castle. I guess you got to keep fighting. He's like, I guess I got to keep going.
Never complains.
Yeah.
He's a hard worker. All right,
there
you go. He wakes up at 4 and works out. All right, cool.
Mario's a real hero. Scott Pilgrim
is a 0. Anyway, yeah. So, John, you give it a 6. I give it a 5. That's a better score than I gave it when I was younger. So, you know, it moved up a couple just because, the significance of it, and I'm not as jaded as I was when I was 19 or whatever.
Fuck everybody. Fuck the world.
So, yeah. If it's not Metallica or Slayer, you go fuck yourself. so yeah. Next week we're gonna be reading Bone. If you don't know what Bone is, it's by Jeff Smith. It's a kid's book. What I've heard is one of the most epic fantasy comics ever. It's kind of like The Hobbit or some shit.
You said it was kind of like Hobbit. That intrigued me, because The Hobbit is probably my all-time favorite like story. I think. Yeah, I think I've reread that.
By that I kind of meant, I know it starts off a little slow. But gets epic in fantasy.
Well, that's fine. So, I you know, the character looks cute too.
You remember The Hobbit? It starts off with like, these hobbitses 4 breakfasts and have big feet, and you're like, what the fuck is a hobbit? And why do I care about these hobbits?
That's true. There's a lot of introductions.
So the first chapter of The Hobbit, dwarves slow, but then they meet the trolls, and then it kicks off.
That's true.
So
the troll part is
once you get to the trolls, it's awesome. So anyway, read The Hobbit, people. But yeah, so like from what I've heard, this book is one of the best fucking books ever, fantasy epic. But it starts off like introducing these characters, so you get to know them. But we're going to read the first volume, and then we might jump, once we read the first volume, we might jump to another volume that's better at another date or whatever. But just know that we're just starting off if you like it. But I mean, you know,
we'll see.
This is a child's book too.
So you're calling me a child?
No, I'm saying this is a children's book.
Part of the reason it appealed to me is because like I said, the character is also kind of cute. He kind of looks like a cross between like Casper and like do you remember Shmoo?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do I remember? Yes, I remember Shmoo, John.
Okay.
Anyway, our audience doesn't know what the fuck we're
who are you talking about?
Go look it up, people. You got the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Bone next week should be great. Just the first volume out from Boneville is the name of it, and also this book sounds way dirtier than you would think it would be, or than it is, I should say, because it's like called Bone and Boneville and we're boning and whatever. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, next time that one we'll be reading, and then so read along or let us spoil it for you guys. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestrains.comicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
And don't forget about our Instagram, our Twitter, and our YouTube channel for exclusive content. Matt's throwing out some cool stuff. I got some stuff in the works finally, too. And don't forget to rate us on iTunes. 5 stars if you love us. 5 stars if you don't like us, just because you're a good person.
There you go. If you hate us, give us 5 stars. Yeah, and I guess we'll see you on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.